I saw this absolutely golden clip today of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau having a complete meltdown during a press conference in Edmonton in the aftermath of Pierre Poilievre saying that women's spaces should be for biological women. I didn't include it in that video where I talked about Pierre Poilievre's announcement because this should be broken down by itself. I'm not going to belabor it too much. I'll commentate throughout it, but I want to get to the clip right away. But quickly first, notice how when the journalist asking Trudeau this question, when he asks it in such a way to basically imply that Pierre Poilievre is a bad person by saying that Poilievre is going after transgender children, when Poilievre's answer literally had nothing to do with kids at all. He was just talking about women's spaces should be for biological women, but because so many of our legacy media journalists are super left-wing, they end up reframing every single position conservatives take into a conservatives going after vulnerable group kind of a narrative. Anyways, here we go.
Pierre Poilievre specifically said that children born biologically male should be banned from female washrooms, changing rooms, sports. Do you think your government has done enough to protect trans rights?
I think the question was literally, have you done enough to protect the ability for transgender women, biological men, to go into women's spaces? That's a ridiculous question. He has framed the question in such a way that it is effectively just assumed that whatever Pierre Poilievre did was nasty. And Trudeau, have you been a progressive enough champion to stop bigots like Poilievre from saying the sorts of things that he has said? Ridiculous. But here, let's get to Justin Trudeau, who is thinking very deeply about the sort of persona he wants to put on for this question, this answer, because Justin Trudeau is always acting.
I think Mr. Poilievre and politicians like him are choosing to attack some of the most vulnerable people in our society.
How do you attack them?
As a way of deflecting from the fact that they're very good at creating division and anger and creating political toxicity and driving wedge issues. But so far, they have been terrible at putting forward any concrete solutions for the big problems that all Canadians are facing in their daily lives.
Justin Trudeau just doesn't think that conservatives put forward concrete solutions, because Justin Trudeau only acknowledges something as a solution if it is a big government solution. If it increases government size and spending, then it is a good solution. Poilievre and the Conservatives want to reduce government spending. They want to reduce regulations, taxation, all this stuff. They want to get rid of censorship policies. That is their solutions to making Canadian society better. But a big government, hyper-progressive like Trudeau doesn't acknowledge any of that. And again, he's saying they're attacking the most vulnerable in society to deflect from the fact that they are good at dividing people, but they're not good at coming up with real solutions. Aren't you the man who keeps saying that I don't want to have to sit next to someone on a train if they're unvaccinated, that these people are racist and sexist if they disagree with me? He literally has just been implying already during his answer that Pierre Poilievre is like a transphobic, homophobic bigot with no evidence. Poilievre wants to protect women's sports, and Trudeau thinks that that is bigotry, which in and of itself is just bigotry against women to think that protecting women's sports for biological women only is somehow bigotry. It's insane.
They're quick with slogans and buzzwords and culture wars.
All liberals don't do that.
But they're not doing the work of actually rolling up their sleeves and delivering. 330 housing units here.
There's not that many houses.
Delivered next year, in this summer, including over 60% of them affordable.
That a little tongue-tied there, Prime Minister. But 380 houses is not that much. In the city of Calgary, I know he did this in Edmonton, but in the city of Calgary, they also just did the stupid announcement with our terrible mayor, Jody Yonick. We're building 100 new units for like whatever group. It doesn't really matter. We need about 20,000 units to be built in order to actually make up for the shortage of housing that we have. The big government, the solutions Justin Trudeau has is throwing billions of dollars at these municipalities to get them to build slightly more homes when we need hundreds of thousands of homes, if not 1 million homes, built across the country to make up for the shortfall that we have. Anyways, I'll let him keep going and make a fool of himself.
Billions of dollars in investment in childcare that provinces like Alberta are not delivering properly to Albertan families.
Your $10 a day childcare plan sucked so bad that we literally had daycares in Calgary saying we're just not going to open because the compensation is horrible for it, that we cannot actually get properly compensated through this strategy. And now he's blaming the province of Alberta for not kicking in even more money to save his bloated, terrible childcare plan.
Because of ideology.
Oh, yeah, ideology didn't make the math
We're
work.
stepping up on the fight against climate change to draw in global investment.
How's that work?
Here in Alberta, for years, I've been pointing out that Alberta is the #1 place in the country for green investments, for investments into renewables, for innovation in the future.
He says it's the #1 place because he sees it as the place that needs to lose all of the oil and gas jobs. He sees it as a place that he could burn to the ground and create a new utopia on top of. He's making this sound like it's a compliment towards Alberta. He thinks Alberta is a horrible, nasty place that he has to fix. That's why he sees it as the #1 place for green job growth. And again, where's the green job investment, man? I thought we were going to be popping off in the terms of the solar and wind industry. We're not, because it's not a real industry. It's a subsidy industry.
Of how we're going to power our country and our world in a net zero economy.
Oil and gas.
And what does the Alberta government do? Oh, it puts a pause on renewables. I was talking.
Yes, because on our grid, we buy natural gas for about 6 or 7 cents a kilowatt hour. The Alberta government, because of stupid agreements the NDP had made, was buying solar and wind for like 45 cents a kilowatt hour, or a little bit less than that or so. But it was crazy expensive. That's why our power bills shot up, because we got rid of coal and we replaced it with something that the Alberta government was paying out way too much money for. So now they put a pause on it so we can actually lower the cost of our energy.
Talking to the Alberta Business Council just last fall, who were up in arms about it, rightly, because what kind of signal does that send to investors?
Nobody's up in arms about it.
What kind of signal does that send to Albertans who know that providing energy in a net zero world will provide incredible jobs for Albertans?
Yeah, no, jobs have never manifested, but don't worry, they'll be incredible. Also, I like natural gas and oil because it kept us from like freezing to death here in Calgary when it was -35 out. The solar and wind farms were generating approximately a goose egg of energy during that time. If we had more heavily transitioned to it, we'd probably have deaths from the grid failing.
If you work in construction, if you work in the oil sector,
you're not voting Liberal.
You can also work in the hydrogen sector. You can work in the nuclear sector. You can work in the carbon capture, utilization, and storage. These are good, skilled jobs that Albertans are already doing that they will be able to do as long as we make sure the capital is flowing in those areas.
Remember when this whole answer started off about the whole biological women thing? Even Trudeau moved on from that as fast as possible because it is a losing issue to say that women's spaces should not actually be for women.
But these are all real issues with real solutions that we're working on. And people like Pierre Poilievre would rather pick a fight with trans kids.
Oh, he's crapping all over our plans that haven't worked for 9 years. He's crapping all over them. I wish he would just pitch in, roll up his sleeves like I do, and I wish he would just come in and help me out. Just grab a cup of coffee, slap me on the shoulder and say, Justin Trudeau, you're doing a great job. Doesn't matter if people are going bankrupt. Doesn't matter if you keep censoring people. Doesn't matter if people can't afford groceries. You're doing a great job, but I'm here to pitch in. I hate this type of propaganda politicians do. And let's be clear, every party does it when they're in office. Why doesn't the opposition pitch in and help? Because it's their job to oppose. I don't know why I have to explain this to so many people. Like, why do I have to explain this to Justin Trudeau? I guess it's because he's stupid. But still, you've been in politics for like however many years. When you were in opposition, were you making suggestions to Stephen Harper back in 13 and 14 on what he could do to help drive the economy forward? Nah, you just criticized him because that's literally your job, and it's not your fault for doing that.
It's not leadership. And that's not a game I'm going to play with them. Yes, we're going to make sure we're doing everything we can to protect vulnerable people in this country because that's what Canadians expect.
Yes, we are protecting them by banning speech I don't like online.
I'm not going to get dragged into culture wars about this when the fact is Canadians expect their governments to roll up their sleeves and deliver for them, and that's what we're doing.
I'll ask it again, sir. What What can or what is your government doing to protect the rights of trans kids now and in the future?
I was sitting down with a number of doctors from the Canadian Medical Association. I think one of the things we should all do in difficult issues is rely on experts, rely on science, on researchers, on people.
Well, the experts in Scandinavian countries and in Europe and Britain and in the US are going away from all of the sort of hormone blockers being given to children. They are going away from the gender theory stuff because it was toxic to kids and it wasn't working and it was bad for parental rights.
Who actually work with vulnerable kids, people who sit down with families to talk through extremely difficult decisions and rely on them to depoliticize issues and look at what is in the best interest of Canadians, of communities, of individuals.
Imagine how disgusting that is. Justin Trudeau's actual, recommendation for what you should do if you have a difficult situation in your family is bring in an expert. Don't be a parent. Don't parent your kids. Bring in an expert. Have them tell you what you should be doing because they have the expertise and they can depoliticize the issue. No, do not do that. That's a stupid person thing to do. Actually, maybe parent your kids and don't let the government tell you what to do. Raise your kid to be a happy, healthy, and responsible adult on your own. And if you need to bring in an expert, that's probably a good sign that you probably shouldn't be parenting your kids. Like, obviously, bring in an expert in terms of like surgical decisions you have to make if your kid's sick. Obviously, that's a good time. But when it comes to decisions that you should be able to make as a parent, just basic decisions on how your kid should grow up, if you need to bring in an expert, you're in trouble.
Relying on our service and health professionals to make decisions about how to best protect people is, I think, something that this government will always stand for and highlight that more governments should be doing rather than picking fights with vulnerable people.
I just want to back it up. Imagine being those three people in the background there who had to stand there the entire time while Justin Trudeau was talking. Even they're like glancing around, looking at their shoes, like kind of trying to talk to each other when they were probably meant to stand there. Like they're here with Justin Trudeau. They stand with him. Man, imagine you probably get paid like triple overtime if you have to stand behind Justin Trudeau at a press conference. That's bad for your health and bad for your mental health. Ugh, okay, woof. Crazy times, crazy stuff. Anyways, that should be it for me today. I will quickly plug the fact that I, Wyatt Claypool, am running for the Calgary Signal Hill Conservative Party nomination. This is what the riding looks like. It's on the west side of Calgary. If you generally live in these riding boundaries, go to my website, wyattclaypool.com, buy a Conservative Party membership, and vote for me in the nomination so we can have a real conservative who lives in the riding actually representing it. And then also, I have my Give, Send, Go link for myself and the National Telegraph's legal fund. Any money you can contribute to it really helps us out. We're being sued by a Chinese billionaire developer. He's basically suing us for defamation. He's never been able to actually provide any evidence that we defamed him. Our guest writer's article that mentioned him, everything that she said about him that was mentioned was all based on a Globe and Mail article that had been written a year and a half before by Robert Fife and Stephen Chase, some very good investigative journalists. That article is still up because it is accurate, and all we did was mention the article. And so he's suing us because he thought that we couldn't fight back the same way the Globe and Mail could. But we're $25,000 deep in defending ourselves, so anything you contribute really helps take the burden off of us. A lot of people have given money, and we're extremely thankful for everything that people have contributed so far. But this thing will keep dragging on, and we're not going to give out fake apologies to bullies. We are going to fight back against bullies because if you don't, they come back and keep bullying you. And this guy would do this to someone else, and it's good to set the precedent that Canadian conservative people do not roll over when attacked. Anyways, that should be it for me today. I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully you like these kind of reaction style videos, even if they drag on a little bit. But that was a really fun clip of Justin Trudeau. I like whenever Justin Trudeau has these like freak out moments where he just suddenly gets exasperated because he's down in the polls and doesn't know why people aren't voting for him. And he's just like, we're investing in green energy. Why don't people vote for us? They're trying to divide people. They're attacking vulnerable kids. And it's like, guys, dude, this is a terrible look. Your comms team should have used the long cane and pulled you off stage during that. It was horrifying. Anyways, that should be it for me today. Finally, have a good one, everyone.